G'day, welcome to Stu's Shed, the YouTube Chronicles. I've got this Burl here, bought at the, I'm not even sure, it was probably actually not the wood show, last year's wood show, but the one before that. I tend to get these things on a whim, and then they sit on the shelf, waiting for me to actually finally get round to the idea that I had. I tend to make a few wooden clocks out of these sorts of Burls, and in the past I've had to put them through, or clamp them up and then use a belt sander to try and get them at least closer to flush. The grain in the Burl is always quite tortured, so it's certainly not something you can run through a thicknesser, or certainly not the straight bladed thicknesser, straight bladed thicknesses that I have, which would tend just to tear them to shreds. But now that I've got this drum sander, I'm going to run this through here, and it will make my life a lot easier and a lot faster, and actually more accurate. Trying to get just your average belt sander to be a precision machine is not exactly the easiest thing in the world. So having this drum sander is one of the reasons that I got it, was just this sort of work, where I knew it was a job that pretty much no other tool in my shop could do easily, other than having to resort to hand tools. And as much as, you know, using hand tools is a pleasure, I don't have time, and that's the long and the short of it. So anyway, what I'll do is start running this through, and we'll see what we can get. Just to give you a bit of a close-up of the Burl itself, and as you can see, it's quite roughly sawn, which is pretty typical for these sorts of things, and there's all sorts of interesting edges and the like on these. I tend to regard a Burl as being actually akin to a wood cancer. It grows out the side of the tree, and it's just like an unusual growth that tend to be cut off and sold for lots and lots of money. And this one was no exception. This piece here has cost me about 22 Australian dollars. But yeah, I'm not in a position to go out and harvest my own, so I have to sort of accept the prices that they are. Now I'm just going to do one or two passes here with the actual dust extraction turned off, and I'll lift the cover just so you can get an idea of what's going on inside. And because this has got a moving pattern on it, so if I just lift the cover up, you can just see the and we're starting to get quite a nice flat area there, and we're already starting to really get to see some of the beautiful detail that you get in the Burl. And although you probably can't see that very well at the moment, once we actually get that and give it a bit of an oil, all those features will suddenly pop. So anyway, I'm going to just, as you can see, that generates quite a lot of dust. I'm just going to close the lid again, turn my dust extractor back on, and keep feeding it through. That's about all I can do on the on this piece on the drum sander. Taken a fair number of passes. Now, just to clarify, given the hardness of this timber and the width that I was taking off, I was only changing the handle by a quarter turn initially. Changed it down to 1/8 of a turn, which is equivalent to 1/128th of an inch. Just so I didn't put too much load on the machine, onto the head, just because of the amount of timber that we're taking off, and as I said, the width and the hardness of it. So the next job now, which I'll do in a little while, this project will probably go back on the shelf for a little while, is to cut out from the back the area that I need for the clock mechanism, and obviously drill the hole through. Then to hit that with a random orbital sander and get it to the finish that I want, and then we'll actually look at oiling it and putting a coating on it, just so it retains its the beauty of the timber for as long as possible. And I'm not sure. I think this one will end up probably being on the shop wall out here. It will be just another clock for the shed. But yeah, seems quite appropriate to have a wooden clock for a shed that's dedicated to woodworking.